Any, just, I guess, what can you say about what you guys were able to do in the fourth quarter and make that kind of interesting down the stretch?
Yeah, nah. I mean, we showed some fight in the fourth quarter. Uh, Unfortunate that it was that late in the game, making a run. So, we got to put together two halves, and that's the story of the season. I think is not being able to put together two halves. So, something to learn from. We get a reset over this Christmas break and come back better and ready to go.
Nique, in a game like this where you have extended opportunity, just how much is it on you to take advantage of that situation and try to grow as a player?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches are throwing me in the fire, and it's a blessing to be out on the court, gaining those experiences. But my job is to go out there and impact the game, whether that's defending, getting a rebound, making a shot, whatever the case may be. If I'm on the court, I got to be impactful. It's my job. So it's great that I'm out there on the court, but I feel like I've put in the work to be out there.
Nique, first question is, how was that dunk in your scale of ratings? Was it decent?
It was all right. Yeah, we was down, so it don't really mean much. 2 points, 2 points, but it was nice to get a dunk.
As for the game itself, defensively, what was Detroit doing offensively that you guys just couldn't stop in that first half?
I mean, they obviously shot pretty well tonight. They're usually a paint team, get to the rim very well, which they did. I think we hurt ourselves in the first half, turning the ball over too much or taking bad shots, and it led to a lot of transition, easy buckets for them. Got them going. They started hitting threes, and it just separated the game too much for us to come back.
Nique, I think we've seen you kind of settle in a little bit over these last few games. How much has this run kind of helped you with just kind of getting comfortable and adjusting to whatever it is, whether it's the speed or physicality or whatever you think maybe is most meaningful in your development so far?
Yeah, like I said, these experiences are high level, and I need those to become a better player. It's definitely helped to get those runs. And just kind of get a feel for, guarding certain guys, the pace of the game, like you said, the physicality. It's all an adjustment from college. So, we're, 25, 30 games in the season. So I'm starting to get more and more comfortable, but it's still a work in progress.
Obviously DeRozan has done a lot in this league. Just what do you, as a rookie, and you see him get to teammate with him, especially his efficiency in the probably really greater part of the season, but over the past 10 games, especially so many, shooting over 50%. He missed 6 shots tonight. Just what do you see from him tonight?
I mean, his ability to get buckets is it's obvious. He's done it for so long. He's one of the top scorers in league history. Like it speaks for itself. Like he's a super high level player, and I'm honored to be on the same team as him. So. It's unfortunate the way our season's going. A guy like that and Russ and guys who have done it for so long, they deserve better than what we've been showing. And, I just want to help provide a better season for them, in their later couple years. They don't deserve to, be a part of what we're going through right now. So, we got to turn it around and all be better as a team. But, we're still learning how to play together and figure everything out. So it's a work in progress, again, like I said.
Hey, Precious.
Hey.
The way that game went, like the physicality of the game, is that something that, number one, you bring to the table, and number two, is something you're trying to impart on some of these young guys like Dylan and Max?
Yeah, first off, I just want to say thank you to God Almighty, Jesus Christ, my Lord and personal Savior. But speaking about the game, that's the recipe to compete at a high level. You gotta come out there every day and compete at a high level. Every little play matters. I've been in a lot of playoff games throughout my career. Last year, I faced that team a bunch of times in the Eastern Conference, and those little plays, hustle plays here and there, they mean a lot when it comes down to to the winning basketball games. So that's how you build good character.
But you said you've seen them, many times in the Eastern Conference. What What do you see out of somebody like Doran and what he's doing down there in the low post?
I mean, he's a force. Big body. You got one of those guys where you kind of got to throw a couple bodies at him in terms of when we're trying to get defensive rebounds, and obviously when they're on offense, he has a huge presence down there. So, I mean, I don't think he's a heck of a player. He's having a really good year. You got to respect his game. He plays the game, like I said, really, really tough. He's a very physical player, so you kind of got to match that. Overall, they're a very physical team, between himself and Isaiah. Two very physical guys, so you kind of got to go out there and match every single possession, every single play, not just defensively, but also when we're on offense, you kind of got to impose your will on them, kind of make them react to you instead of being reactionary.
Precious, you guys have been thrown out already and kind of had your legs, kind of cut out early in the season with all these injuries and stuff you've dealt with. Like, where you look at these last 4 games and the resiliency that you've seen and that you guys have shown, like, where do you think the fight is coming from recently?
I think it's just pride. I think a lot of guys in the locker room, especially, a lot of our older guys, they've proven themselves to be winners, over the course of their careers. So that's where that comes from. You're looking at guys like Russ, DeMar, Dennis, Malik. Those guys, they've won, throughout their career. So they've been in big moments. So that's just where that comes from, resilience and just continuing to go out there and fight and put us in positions to win. The last couple of games, I thought we've been playing really hard. But that's just the cost of doing business sometimes in the league. You play hard, but it comes down to those, plays, one play here, one play there, that determines the game. So we just got to continue to learn from them, myself included, and, the guys younger than myself as well. We just got to continue to learn from the older guys and add to our game and our basketball IQ overall as much as we can.
Sorry. Kind of along those lines, Precious, like when you look at how deep you guys are playing into the roster now and so many different rotations, you guys have been able to kind of find a fight there. And as Jason alluded to, is there a way in your mind of how to bottle that up and try to use that as examples from maybe like in the first half of tonight's game where things aren't going as well as you want? Is there any kind of formula there to bottling that up?
I mean, it's just going out there and competing at a high level. When you throw out, I don't know what the lineup was, but I just think whoever steps out there has got to compete at a high level. It don't matter who it is, but also competing at a high level comes with knowing what you're doing. That comes with playing and getting a lot of experience. We have a lot of young guys that rookie years, second year, whatever the case is. They're not going to learn. They're not going to, gain that IQ, some of those things that we would never be able to get unless they're out there, making mistakes and learning from them and watching film and growing. That's the best way they could, learn and grow and become better players throughout their careers.
Precious, you kind of talked about it a second ago, but what's it been like playing with DeMar and Russ at this point in their careers? Obviously, DeMar continues to climb up the all-time scoring list, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. Just what's that been like watching them towards the tail ends of their careers?
I mean, those guys, the both of them, they still play at an all-time level. They perform at an all-time level, high-level competitors. Like I said, coming and learning from them every day. Even myself, I ask a lot of questions, to those guys. I ask them a lot of questions on the way they see the game, the way they read the game, how do they process the things that they see. And I just try to pick their brains and try to add to myself as much as possible. But, they still perform at a high level today, up to this day. You look at DeMar today, he had 37, Russ had 27. Last game, they were huge for us going down the stretch. It just, continues to perform at a high level. For me, it's just how much can I learn from them, and add to my game.
Good evening.
Hey, Doug, watching that Pistons team, is that kind of the vision that you have for your team moving forward?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's hopefully looking right in the mirror right there. You come out and because most nights in our league, when you face people that do that to you, you either don't ring the bell, or like we did tonight, we didn't ring in the first half and rung it in the second half, but then sometimes it's just too late. We cut it to 9 with 3:30, but just too much to get over. That level of physicality, that level of aggressiveness, continued touching, holding just at people just for 48 minutes. With these fans hollering, yeah, it'll be a sight to see.
DC, without getting you in trouble, what was the issue with the that caused the technical foul?
I don't think there's anything that I could say that wouldn't get me in trouble. You did see our last, okay. And then, like, I already got fined, so, yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone, man. That's, wow.
70 points in the paint, though, for Detroit tonight. Just what were they doing early, specifically in that second and third quarter? That
Grown man basketball. I mean, there's no simple, like, you know, we had a plan to meet their aggression and physicality with physicality and force, and in the first half we weren't prepared for it. They scored 44 points in the first half in the paint. In the second half, 26. Okay, but you can't let a team like that do that, because it gains confidence. Like, they don't shoot the 3 ball like that, but when you see the ball go through the basket, now all of a sudden, you know, the basket just opens up, and before you know it, people are knocking down shots. So, you know, a massive amount of respect to them, and big, like, that is, they have a good team, a physical team, a team that they should be proud of. That's good basketball, in my opinion.
We talked about it in the last couple of days a little bit, but just from these last few games, even tonight, it felt like you guys were, you know, a little more physical, even though you were down big at times. What has kind of maybe clicked for some of these guys to kind of turn the corner, to have maybe a little more fight in some of these games than before?
I mean, if you just look at the last 3 games from the very first Portland game, we went big with Keegan at the 3, and I think that those big guys on the interior, they help the confidence that, first of all, anything that comes off of that backboard is ours. Anything that drives down the lane is going to be contested. And when you as a perimeter player have that behind you, it's just a confidence that I can be a little bit more aggressive. You know, reds, which is our switching, we want to switch up. We don't want to switch and be the first to hit. When we want to grab, hold, and control, and when I go to red, I want to move up the floor. I want to touch you first. And I think a little bit more of that, like I said tonight, like, that is a team that does that, and they did it better than us in the first half. In the second half, we were better. But for these last 3 games plus this one, you know, guys have been fantastic, and ultimate respect to them all for their effort.
Doug, first of all, do you have any news on Keegan and how much of a concern is that?
No, I don't. As soon as I do, you guys will. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, he's going to be, as you can see, I mean, he's always missed. All that he brings to the game, size, athleticism, defense, shooting, I mean, yeah, you know, so hopefully we have him back. And
then, you know, when you look at DeMar, like how much do you just appreciate, like, him staying committed, bought in, and you know, and I don't know what any other words you want to use to you know, describe, like, how professional.
Professional, tremendous, spectacular, true pro, always prepared. They're just, there's not enough adjectives to describe him and how I respect how he goes about his business. Anything that I ask of him, he's willing. He's paying attention to the game. So when I ask him, what do you see? He's like, D, I see this. I think we can do that. And I know from being out there that, you know, I have a different vantage point sometimes. So you got to depend on your players and trust them in some moments. And putting the ball in his hands, he's going to try to make the right decision. Just honor to coach him. Yeah.
Doug, shortly before the game started, a report came out from Chris Haynes saying that basically Malik Monk is being made available to teams around the league for trade. Can you confirm or deny that? And if it's true, given Malik's history with this team, the fans, his popularity here, what allowed that? What happened to get to this point?
That's a Scotty B question. I mean, I don't have anything there, but I love Malik. Always have. I mean, what we're trying to do here is bigger than any one player, two players, anything. We're trying to set something that is sustainable, and we just changed things up in this particular moment. I mean, he got back in the game, so nothing personal, nothing like that. And I've told him that, love him to death, but we are trying to shake things up, and we're going to figure out how to find a way to be, first of all, competing at a really high level and playing to our standard, a particular standard. And to, earlier with Ham, what you see over there is a lot of what we want. And it is a physical, aggressive, in-your-face style of basketball that relies on defense first and foremost.
Knowing you're not the guy that pulls the triggers on these deals, do you expect Malik to be with you guys at the end of the season?
Until otherwise, I expect him to be here for his contract. He's signed to be a Sacramento King. He's going to be a Sacramento King. If something else happens, that goes when trades and all that stuff come into play. You never know. When I was here in this jersey, I didn't expect to get traded. It did happen, though.
Doug, I believe it was your first sub was Dylan coming in for Precious rather than Max. I don't think we've seen that yet this year. We saw
it last game. We
gotcha.
played both of those bigs, yeah.
Okay. How much of that has to do with the matchup with Jalen and Isaiah out there compared to something that you want to explore?
There are parts of it that is about the opposition, but we're also finding things for ourselves. I think Dylan at the 5 is a rim protector, energy, shot blocker, lob threat, stretching the floor. And then Max has the ability, in my opinion, to step out and, be a connector and play at the 4 sometimes. And we've worked on continuity of playing two bigs and working through that. The one thing that we want to do is make sure that we rebound in that basketball. They didn't do it at an incredible rate in that first half, but in the second half they were quite a bit better. But we had the game plan, and part of that was taking Precious out so we could talk to him about what I saw and have Woody speak to him. But I think you'll see that more often. Love both of those kids. They do, and Precious as well. That kind of rotation has been good in these last 4 games.
Doug, big shoes to fill for Nique starting the second half in place of Keegan, especially defensively. I thought he put in a really good shift, especially in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What do you make of a rookie just taking the opportunities given to him?
He continues to grow. I was happy to see him knock down that 3. Just trying to make sure that he's growing. One of the areas is when he gets the ball, I don't want him looking around. Go. You got the ability to go. Put pressure on everybody. Make them run with you. His physicality on defense, trying to accept the challenge with Cade. There was one right in front of our bench where he jumped at the end, and that's learning how to accept the physicality, get your feet quickly, and jump and contest without fouling. I like the attack on the rim. I told him, listen, if you get a chance, don't be shy. Go introduce yourself, say hello, and that can go a couple of different ways, and that's all right because you got to find out about that. And it was really good to see him get downhill and attack the rim. Great young player, man, and it's a lot of fun to watch them figure it out on the fly. Because it can be difficult sometimes, and no better way than playing against one of the 1, 2, 3 top defenses in the league with physicality and all that to start to figure it out for him. So super excited with what I saw from him, especially in that second half.